When we get into the book of Revelation, the reference to Baal, especially the first part, where Jesus is giving a revelation to the 7 churches.
Yeah.
Talks about the Nicolaitans, and then the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block in front of the people of God. Then you've got Jezebel. And I just get sick when I see how people interpret the book of Revelation. And like, for instance, I watched a teaching the other day. The guy took the concept of Jezebel. I thought he was going to unveil the fact that she was a prophetess of Baal, and she went out to kill the prophets of God.
Yeah.
That's the spirit of Jezebel. But you know what they do? They read just a couple of things out of the book of Revelation and think, oh, the spirit of Jezebel. Oh, it's women who don't dress properly. Are you kidding me? Are you reading it all?
Take it out of context.
Oh, and they'll say, well, what's the fornication? Don't you get it? When we go after other gods, we're fornicating.
Yeah.
It's like...
committing adultery.
It's like being married to someone.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, it's the people married to God.
Yeah.
There's the commitment.
Yeah.
And we go after other gods. It's like going after other husbands. Mm-hmm. Now, Baal is very interesting. Now, keep in mind, Baal is not a real god.
Yeah.
It's a man-made.
It's an image.
It's an image made by the hands of man, by the imagination of man.
Yeah.
They accredited everything that happened, whether good or bad, to Baal. So Baal was responsible for everything, because his name literally meant Lord. They would call him Adonai and call God Adonai. Mm-hmm. It's subtle. Subtle.
Yeah, it's so subtle that you miss it if you don't pay attention.
So why is this concept in the last book of the Bible? What we're doing is we're attributing the nature of Baal onto our God.
Yeah.
Here's why I don't like the sovereignty teaching. Like if you're going to say God is sovereign in that he created the worlds and he set everything in order through Christ, the Word, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say that God is sovereign, orchestrating your miserable lives, every minute of it, where you park, where you go, who you talk to, and this is why I don't like it. Now, people may think that I'm just arguing a doctrinal difference. You have to get the character of God correct by reading the Scriptures. And the reason I don't like the sovereignty teaching is because what it does to the believer. What it does is it causes them to bypass the Word of God and look to their circumstances to see what God is doing. Now you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. Because now you're looking to the world around you to see what God is doing in your life. See, it's their own thoughts. This is what I'm saying about Baal. Baal is a man-made God. You put the character of Baal onto our God, it's like being married to an abusive husband. Yeah. You never know what he's going to do. Now, the reason they think that way, and not only their teachers, but their peers as well, because everybody's going to come to me or you, and they're going to tell you about their life's problems.
Yeah.
But we need an answer. It's like my sister coming to me crying and say, why is God doing this to me? Well, I listened to her story. Yeah. Well, God isn't doing it. People are. You're living in a world. People are mean. They're selfish. Now, that isn't our God. Our God is completely trustworthy, fair, right, just.
Just, absolutely.
He is just.
Absolutely.
He's going to look at our hearts because he can read our hearts. Mm-hmm. He knows exactly where we are. Oh, yeah. Let's say you've been hungry all of your life for the things of God, but you've never been taught. What God is going to look at, he's not going to look at you and say, you don't know anything about me. Yeah. No, he's going to look at you and say, you've been hungry for me all your life, but you just haven't been given it. Yeah, you haven't been given the Word of God as food. Yeah. You've heard stories. Ministers stand in their pulpits and they tell their own parables as if their parables will inspire you just as much as God's parables. No, there's no power in your parables. No. The spiritual understanding of God's parables is life-changing.
Yeah.
It gives you a whole new mind, a heart for more. You know that parable that it says, to him that gains, more will be given?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when the Word of God comes alive to you. The more you gain, the more you're given.
Yeah.
Because this parable unlocks that parable, and this statement unlocks that statement. It's like when Jesus was talking to Peter, and Peter said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." Good, Peter, because flesh and blood has not revealed this to you. And then he said, "I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." So the idea is to grow spiritually so that we don't get it wrong.